mastoid process may be damaged, or stylomastoid foramen is fractured, or styloid process where the nerve is touching may be fractured. Because nerve is touching the bone, if that bone is damaged, the nerve is also liable to be cut or injured. So that is the common sense. It is not given in your book. You have to write down yourself 5-6 pages lines of the causes, then you will fill the page. So mastoid process, children below the age of 2 years, there is no mastoid process develops. Mastoid process only develops after 2 years of the age. Before the 2 years, there is no mastoid process. The stylomastoid foramen, styloid process is here, mastoid foramen, and this is the skull is like this. Nerve is not protected posteriorly by styloid process below the age of 2 years. So any injury in this area or any operation done in this area by a surgeon can easily cut the facial nerve. So surgeon should know that if the patient of the child is coming below the 2 years age, the mastoid process is not there. So mastoid process is actually protecting the nerve which is lying anterior to it. So any operation done around the ear in the 2 years of the age, less than 2 years of the child, nerve is, or if there is any damage or somebody has slapped a 2-year child below the hair, may damage it, and the child will suffer from Bell's palsy. So that you have to write down the importance of mastoid process and its development. Third is the fracture of stylomastoid foramen, mastoid process above the age of 2 years, or styloid process. So all these bones around the stylomastoid foramen will damage the what is called the facial nerve. AC चलाए हुए, AC ऑन है दोनों, ऐ देखो स्विच ऑन है क्या ऑफ है? ऑफ ही लग रहा है मैंने, क्यों? वो वाला भी ऑन हो गया, हाँ अब हुआ है ना. So this is the how the cause is the fracture of any part. Bony fracture may cause the damage to the nerve. Then fourth cause you may write about the, now it enters into the pituitary gland. Now any disease of the pituitary gland you can write. What you will write about the pituitary gland? What is given in your book? You have done whole, I think, whole of the head and neck. Up to nasal cavity you have reached, so you must have read it. Anything about the pituitary gland, what is written in your Chaurasia? Cancer of the pituitary gland. Mumps doesn't damage the facial nerve. Mumps is a viral infection. Only swelling of the pituitary gland. It cannot shatter or destroy the nerve. Only destruction of nerve is possible when there is a cancer. Cancer is a uncontrolled, unlimited growth of the any part of the human tissue. Uncontrolled. So pituitary CA of the pituitary gland or cancer of the pancreas, it spread like anything in any direction. So it will destroy them. So CA of the pancreas, you can write on the fourth region, CA pituitary gland. It damages or destroys the facial nerve because it lies a bread butter like situation. So that you can write down. Then after coming out of the 5 branches of the anterior border, any individual branch, any one branch can be damaged by roadside accident of the car and the front glass pieces are coming. Maybe you are sitting on the front of the bus near the driver, parallel to the driver. If your bus met an accident, all the glasses pieces will be shattered in your face. We have seen the cases in the emergency, roadside accident. So in that, not all the 5 branches will be damaged by the pieces of the glass. Only a individual, maybe temporal, maybe zygomatic, maybe buccal, maybe upper, maybe lower buccal, or marginal mandibular. So there are the multiple cases are coming. So they are called the isolated injuries of the facial nerve branches. Isolated. In the roadside accident, glass pieces. So that due to the particular group of the muscle will be paralyzed, not whole of the face in or Bell's palsy. If the temporal branch is involved, 3 muscles they will be paralyzed. If the zygomatic branch, only 1 muscle is involved, lower half of the orbital. So depending upon which branch is cut by the glass piece, patient come with the paralysis of that part of it. So that you can write down these 5 branches, 5 reasons for the causes first up here. Then come what are the features of Bell's palsy? How the patient look like? So if the patient is suffering from Bell's palsy, so if a patient is coming from a distance in the doctor's clinic, but just by seeing the face of the patient we can diagnose that he or she is suffering from Bell's palsy, because this is the spot diagnosis. You should know the features. So you have to make this diagram of whenever the question of Bell's palsy comes. So after writing the reasons of the causes, then you have to make the features of the Bell's palsy, or what is the facial reason. So this is the normal side, this is the paralyzed side. In the normal side, patient can draw the horizontal lines as well as vertical lines. But on the paralyzed side, no horizontal and vertical lines. Half of the face is expressionless. It is mask-like face. No expression on the half of the face. That is called mask-like face. Mask-like face are also present in hypothyroidism, renal failure, or anything which swell up the body. Simple obesity also. So these are the regions of the mask-like face. Parkinsonism, another disease of mask-like face. So no lines are there. Then the eye. So how to write the signs and symptoms? Number 1, forehead. Heading will be forehead, and then write about 2-3 lines. This is how to attempt the question. What you see in the forehead, from upward to downward you have to come, not from haphazardly. No, upper forehead. What are the scenes you are seeing? Vertical lines and horizontal. Horizontal lines, they are not drawn because it is caused by which muscle? Fronto-occipitalis muscle is paralyzed, because both are supplied by the facial nerve, both bellies. So patient cannot do like this. Then vertical lines are also not drawn. Which muscle? You have to write down. Corrugator supercilii has gone paralyzed. So you have to give the region and what you have, signs and symptoms, what you have observed it, that you have to make. Then number 2, eye. You have to observe the patient about the eye. Eye of the normal side is closely closed, but on the paralyzed side, eye is open and angle of the eye is down and tears are coming out of it. Because of which muscle you have to write down? Eye is not completely closed because of paralysis of which muscle? Orbicularis oculi muscle. Even it remains open, even at night also when patient is sleeping, the eye remains open. Usually the eye orbicularis oculi is so strong muscle that you cannot open your own eye. Just try. It is so strong muscle, it is closing it. But in this case, a simple gentle pressure may open the eye. Slight pressure, it means muscle is not working. Paralysis of orbicularis oculi. And when the palpebral fissure, that is the gap between the upper eyelid and lower eyelid is called, what is that gap is called? Palpebral fissure. This gap is palpebral fissure. So here the eye remains open. Cornea is exposed to the atmosphere. Every time there is a bombardment of dust particles, spores of the bacteria, they are roaming in our air, they are falling on it. It causes, and what is covering the thin sheet of the cornea? Conjunctiva. So there will be infection of itis of conjunctiva, that is called, patient will suffer from conjunctivitis. Conjunctivitis. Eye will be red, hot, painful and swell up. Red eye will be there, patient when you come, when you see it is a red color. Congested, painful, because it remains open 24 hours. So patient is suffering from conjunctivitis. And cornea is very sensitive, it is exposed to the world. And because of the dust particle, anything, it becomes rough surface. Roughness of the and dryness also, because it is exposed to the air, and there will be no blinking of the eye, because orbicula oculi is paralyzed. So blinking is done by eye muscle, so that is not possible. And because of infection, tear will be coming, because lacrimal gland is working. More is the irritation, more is the activity of the lacrimal gland. That's why there is a tear is dribbling out. And patient always keep a hanky in his hand. He always wiping it, because he knows infection is there. And cornea is also rough, and it becomes hazy. You can't see clearly, because cornea is the only transparent area of the sclera. So dryness of this cornea is called xerophthalmia. Xerophthalmia. Xerophyte in the botany, desert plant, they are called xerophyte. Dryness, dry weather. So when the cornea is dry, it is called xerophthalmia. Xerophyte we have taken from botany. Xerophyte. So that is the problem. Then around the mouth, third point is the buccal area. What do you observe in the buccal area? One is the nasolabial fold is absent on the paralyzed side. Nasolabial fold. Who is making the nasolabial fold? Zygomaticus major and minor muscle. They are pulling the lips upward. Now they are paralyzed. So there will be no nasolabial fold. Levator levi alacnesi is also pulling up, paralyzed. So there will be no nasolabial fold because of the zygomaticus major, minor and levator levi superioris and levator levi superioris alacnesi muscle. So these muscles you have to mention. Then he will get the maximum mass. Then on the normal side, mouth is fully closed because orbicularis oris muscle is working well. But on the paralyzed side, mouth is opened. Even the teeth are visible and saliva is dribbling out. Mouth remains open, same as the eye, and angle of the mouth is also down because muscle is paralyzed. And saliva is dribbling out. And that side of the cheek is swollen. This is a normal curvature of the mouth face. Here it is bulging because of the accumulation of saliva. Saliva is made by the parotid gland. And this parotid duct, it obliquely runs into the which muscle? Buccinator muscle, the horizontal fibers. So it passes like this. And when we chew the food, the duct is pressed and released. When it is pressed, no saliva is coming. When it is released, only drop by drop. This is called the pinch and cock mechanism. So pinch and cock mechanism is lost. Pinch and cock mechanism is lost because of the buccinator is paralyzed. So there will be gushing of the saliva in the mouth from the pituitary gland, and patient will wipe the saliva. All the time he will keep the hanky, and mouth is open, teeth are visible. So that is your reason you have to write down why it is so. So just by seeing the half of the face and swelling of this, saliva is there. So that is the problem. So this is how you can. Now Bell's palsy of the two types. One is the supranuclear, other is infranuclear. In the supranuclear, whole of the half of the muscles of the body are paralyzed from head to toe. That is called hemiplegia. If a patient of the hemiplegia comes, then you check the whole of the muscles, they are paralyzed, not only the face. But in the infranuclear type, only face is involved, all the body parts, muscles, they are okay. So this is how to differentiate. So then we have to test because the upper part of the face is having dual nerve supply. This is the seventh nerve nucleus. It supplies the muscles of both the sides. Above the nucleus. Below the nucleus, they are the infranuclear type. So, in the supranuclear palsy, how to differentiate whether patient is having supranuclear or infranuclear? So, we ask the patient to draw the horizontal lines. If he can draw it, then it is supranuclear palsy. In the supranuclear, patient can draw the horizontal lines on the forehead. But if it is infranuclear paralysis, patient won't be able to draw the horizontal lines. So that is the no horizontal lines in the infranuclear. Why? Because the upper part of the face is supplied by both the sides of the facial nerve. Supranuclear, so that is how to differentiate it. So this is how to attempt the question of extracranial course of the facial nerve with the applied full. So that's all for today. Thank you.